Hello, and welcome to today's Sunday stream. We'll be doing some more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, starting episode 3. So, for once, I've actually bothered to, how do I say it, post my schedule on my Twitter. So, if you're curious as to when we're streaming, or what we'll be streaming on which days, it is on my Twitter. Now, of course, that will not be our permanent schedule. I'll be changing that monthly. So that's our schedule for the rest of April. Since that's what I've been doing for like half of it already, so it's like might as well just keep doing it. So yeah, so today we'll be doing some more Great Ace Attorney. Continuing my attempts of trying to voice act the characters. They're not the best voices you'd hear, but there's the best I can do for them. If you want true professional voice acting for this character, or professional playthrough, I recommend Save Data Team's Great Ace Attorney Chronicles playthrough with an actual lawyer. So anyways, we're doing episode 4. So point about episode 3 is that there was some investigation, so I kept going and going. We crammed that into one entire episode. Then again, we crammed the rest of episode 2 into one stream as well. Because episode 2 was entirely investigation focus. Episode 3 was entirely trial focus. So now we're back to bounce. So we'll be continuing with episode 4, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Basically, it's a clouded heart.
I begin to think,
Watson, said Holmes, turning his head languidly
in my direction. That there is more to this case than that which we have observed.
A lot of these cases tend to take inspiration, again, from actual Sherlock Holmes cases or stories. Which is why this is being narrated. This is literally, I think, taken from the books. Them talking to each other.
To the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement.
I was gonna say, it's a woman knifed, a dead body found on the streets.
Lit in the soft glow of gaslight.
I would have said Jack the Ripper, but
And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Anyways, again, on May we'll be having a new schedule. It depends. The only thing that I can pretty much say for now that I'll be changing is we will not be doing Lego Skywalker Saga on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I probably will limit it to only 2 streams for it, or even just one day each week. Because doing it a lot on the same week, it's just be tiring. But anyways, we're only halfway through April, so again, that's still far up. Anyways, let's see. 19th February, 9:47 a.m., British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's Office. Okay. The problem with doing this only once a week is that I tend to forget the voices. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. With all the gaslights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time at the SS Bury, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. let's be fair, when we were at the hotels, well, that is like, if you're like me, who like, travels at least once a year, used to travel at least once a year. Yeah, rolling around or feels like you're just enjoying like the comfy hotel beds. It's like, it's pure bliss in heaven, because they're so comfy and fluffy. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops. Sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London's a scary place. Ah! Good morning to you at this early hour. I don't remember my voice for male. Sorry. Tried doing my GAN voice, but like, no. Oh, yes, we are, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We had come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Susato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, sorry, my voice is like closing up. Sorry, man. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you. And, in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of the events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully pledged lawyer. Yes, because that's how the law works. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a press case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? Already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience, if I do say so myself. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it yet. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury would not be required to prepare judgment. Well, Lord Banstix, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I could have asked for a better defense. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo, It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? What I mean, my boy, is Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. No. What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk, if you will. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak. But already. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charge shelf of the carriage as that of Mr. McGilded. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. Yeah. And how could that have happened? It's hard to voice today. My throat is still clenching. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilded talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, How did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the non-guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry. It's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's not me wondering if I'm really cut up for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I can face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh, the situation remains unchanged. The trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. If that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me now. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time I mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuo says that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself, and there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important. Oh, right. It's Kazuma. There's something very important I had to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done, without time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. Hey, it's Gregson. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I'm gonna say he looks pleased to see us at all. Right, first let's save. Fish and chips. Excuse me, could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some privy about the weather doesn't get any English junk eating out your hand, you know? But the Sasan told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man. A very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. No, because some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard that's going to tatters. Okay, let's give him a copy. Yeah, can screw it. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. Eh? It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sue. Eh? It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Believable, how did you pull that up? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on a case. I can't do company. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Sato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? Right, hang on. For this stream, I'll be right back in a moment. I'm just gonna get something. And I'm back. Sorry, so, Gregson here made me hungry, so I decided to get some snacks. But it's not really gonna help when it comes to, like, my, voice acting, but, yeah, I wanted to eat these. So what I have with me right now is milk and cookies. Maybe because I need to eat them before they expire. Thank you for the welcome back. Yeah, sugar or like, you know, sweets are not really recommended if you're doing voice acting, but yeah. Yeah, here we go, Gregson. Keep them talking. You're acting like you know this man, Mr. Sato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Sorry, this is gonna take long because like it's whole grain cookies, so it's like yeah. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication, what's it called again? Rants Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Holmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Holmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. I love Gregson. It's like Gregson here, like if you think about the book perspective, he's taking Lestrade's place. We do have Lestrade in game, but yeah. What's fun is like Tobias Gregson is a character in the game. I mean like in the books, but like Mr. Holmes isn't a professor like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Holmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the peak of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? So just don't put my Cyber Saga gameplay, goddammit. But I'm doing it on Well, Mr. Holmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not. Thanks to that magazine, my name's all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Well, all that isn't really great when you're a police detective or like, you know, inspector trying to do your damn job. I have to admit that to start with I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand and my reputation in the yard went through the roof. But that's wonderful. No, it's not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. Oh, those poor fish and chips. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The pain's gone to his head, stuff like that. Goss, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? I wouldn't put it past them, and yes, they would definitely do that. In fact, they do that to Holmes a lot. I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I hate that I'm giving him a southern accent, but I had to make it grow up somehow. And I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. That or it's turned American because my voice is muddled with my eating right now. I get to being the detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps the sudden rights to fame does change people. That's the reason why I don't usually like eating while streaming. The crowns get over my controller. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned in the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, Sato, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking down on the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Yunosuke. You angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time with this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Oh, let me guess. He confessed? Not simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Baron Van Six. No. Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Six. Believed to be the harbinger of Jet himself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Ban Von Six. We faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilded told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Band 6 stands for the prosecution, they called the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been prosecuted, the accused has been damned. Well, until now, we broke his perfect record. The Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Six, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Ah, and what of it? Again, man's never impressed. Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Bansies could get the dirt to stick on anyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. Yes, we get it, he's a vampire. I have a good long think about that if I were you. Are you really supposed to believe that? Right, well, I filled you in as requested and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road you said, didn't you, where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. If you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You branded him a criminal already? He's as good as, taking like a leap in his cell he is. They'll give you a chocolate, nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53, thank you. There's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recalled the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he'll be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, wherever he is. But I'd like to try. So I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think that you had to ask? I mean, come on, Ryunosuke. It's not like they're your digital assistant or anything. That they're supposed to help you. After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go! We can go to the scene of the crime or the prison. We'll go to the prison first. 19th February, local prison, cell 9. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. Apparently our client is in the cell here. But it's so dark at the back there I can't make him out. Wonder what he's like. Inmate 53. Your legal representative is here to see you. Stop by in the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I? Am I a cat? As yet with no name? Oh no, don't tell me it's gonna be like an Alice in Wonderland reference. Call me by a number is utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo? What? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? The tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh my god, don't tell me it's Hosonaga! God damn it, man, can you just stay out of trouble for once? Oh good, it's not Hosonaga, thank god! Oh, it's Einstein. Excuse me, but who? Shh! Quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. I hate their dependent already. Right. So could I ask you who exactly— There you are! You come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost. Excuse me? A ghost? We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Prisoner-san Lamau, yes. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. You were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in the frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Okay, I'm starting to like him now. Could have guessed that this new client Lord Storm had assigned to us would turn out to be fellow Japanese. What compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never falling Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh no, that's real, okay. But I think there's something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can. I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. Just hope he has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Rinosuke Naruhodo. And I am Naruto-san's judicial assistant to Santo Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsume Soseki Natsume. Soseki Natsume, son? What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. This man is a unit, yes. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume, you mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No, 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 don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you're a visiting student sent out here by the government? Yes, yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this is beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No! I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I turned a blank piece of paper. Wise words on whitewashing. You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems. Could you perhaps tell us what you have been arrested, Sasaki-san? I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. She didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? But seeing the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Yes, probably. But it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse. The curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. The Sasaki-san will start the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Okay, there we go. It was a cursed evening. The snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodging. Sure, the bookshop was an accursed too. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, just as I went to overtake her. She suddenly let out a scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. How terrible! I called out to the woman, but didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, green graveyard. A slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. But you dropped your books, and that's probably the incriminating evidence against you. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of this barehead English? And a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. At the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? What do you mean, Sato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, then there's something I can't explain. He says he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But that's the case. Surely this man has to be the culprit. You, what did you say? Nothing, I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was dead in the first place? Oh yes, he's right. It was him, that accursed great detective. He led the police to me about the bad luck. Curse, great detective. Oh gee, could it be? I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brass, big-headed busybody, be gone. No, may you be cursed until the end of your days, Sherlock Holmes. I knew it. Mr. Holmes? Well, I didn't expect to hear that name for this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the painted for me, doing his voice attacked in my fucking throat. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was thin silver. Yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Discussing dietary discrimination, devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of the wall, the policeman, grinning like a Cheshire cat. Sherlock Holmes. It's actually just Sherlock Holmes. It's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is very well known. This ugly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me? This weak, stoop kitten of a man? I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. You mean to say that Mr. Holmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, film, flummery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning in English. Good point. My mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. Next thing I knew, I was in manacles. Before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's highly surprising. I'm fine, he's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And whenever I speak English, it's about Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright, yes. That really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour. A student. I defended the case in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? Ugh. I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers. All the police defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around. And I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. Must be very hard for you, Saseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before. In my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man will be a waste of time, they said. And of course the foreigner did it. But it's par for the course of racism. They even had the call to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. It's awful. They're wrong. I studied more English than half the policemen out there in the streets. I traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Second, it's just that. Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate. Okay, stop for a minute there. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. A locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Right, now we move to Briar Road. (19th February, Briar Road. So this is where it happened, Briar Road. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation little helmet. It's unmistakable. The man has caught on Yarda here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But it's Naruhodo. To see one with my own eyes. They're often depicting the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt that I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Hehe, of course. I had to try one on one day. Well, I hope your happy dream comes true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't on the tourist trails I'm very sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then? What did you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. Well, we'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Doesn't bother me. The votes can go tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone Cold Air projection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of Stone Cold Air. That makes it worse somehow. Okay, we won't talk to Gregson for a bit. I wanna examine. Hihi, what a delightful snowman. Didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy though. Oh, it has a scarf, look. You need one if you were out in this freezing cold at the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment. Too, we certainly can't afford a scarf. Sorry the snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway. Even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Okay. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cut away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't serious. Susato. Oh my god, we're on Strand Street. It's not Baker Street. That's not the odds of Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. We want too close to be clapped in irons. I think we're being a little uppercuts. Oh no, I'm not getting caught again. The wise isn't up. Yes, you had some dreadful experiences. I saw it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. Does you no favors at all. Right, I guess we'll have to examine this area. Road. There are stone payment track, process covered tracks. Well, taking a rather small concern. Oh, hello. There's a weird dent here. Oh, a British bicycle. Look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle pad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Mind you, a decade later, even as like on the onset of the 1900s, bicycles were everywhere in Britain. Also, they're very popular in manga and like manhwa and manhwa. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's not that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. Ever tried walking on stilts and fall into a river? I know you'd agree with me. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Not sure that's how it works. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it's a long and interesting history. Well, times where it seems that taking its toll on the place is crooked and sagging all over. Drag loose and decide we're safe than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodging ourselves as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. Oh, look, at the windows of the building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, they're all filled in with bricks. Oh, you're right. Wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimneys though. This better not be what I think it is because like, they're supposed to be on Baker Street. Unless that's copyrighted. check what else we can do. Oh, there's St. Paul's Cathedral. Clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? Or the dense fog as well, everything looks so hazy. Well, it is not as foggy longer than town. I can just make some sort of spire to the fog. It still looks like it's being built though. Aha! Yes! That must be the Crystal Tower. Being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. It's being built next to the St. Paul's Cathedral. Not sure that's allowed. Because you see, things built for great exhibitions are stayed or like, permanent. Apparently, it's going to be very striking. Glazed on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exposition in history, is it? Can't even begin to imagine it. Yeah, I think we've examined all we can. We'll have to talk to Gregson then. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated police and organization you find anywhere in the world, Batman. We're certainly better than those metropolitan poke anyway. To those who don't know, the reason why, if you've been with tell Jack the Ripper, in the investigations were doing the hunt for Jack the Ripper, the investigation was mainly done by the Metropolitan Police. Actually, no. It depended because Scotland Yard and the Metropolitan often appears like class over who would get jurisdiction. Oh, and I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing the policeman there with his helmet on. How Scotland Yard officers distinguish from Metropolitan police officers tends to be based on insignia, because it's the same uniform technically. See, no, wait, I'm wrong, sorry. They're not two separate organizations, they're the same one. Scotland Yard is the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police Force. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep, raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. Just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. And I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase out the criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I'd admit. Their workload has gotten less though, but it's mainly because it's easier to get around nowadays. It's not on foot anymore. I always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. It happened around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless he comes around pretty smartest, we won't be able to figure out much about her at all. Those that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's our policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't asked you to accept the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? That must be a head scratcher, isn't it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume also claimed not to have seen anyone else, but... we'll figure it out. We'll see. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Ah. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There are witnesses now? Right, let me check the map first. It's our first piece of evidence. So here's Briar Road, we have Meerschaum Street. Here's where we are now. So this is Strand Street. This is Calabas Road. So this is gonna be probably important, isn't it? Right. Witnesses. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. And the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. Oh, I think I know who this is. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Ah! A policeman. That might change things. And the policeman just happened to be dead at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing particular about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. And no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. You got some attention to meet the minute beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As a digital assistant, I must warn you this could be a job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-digital assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh, yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? What? The person who led you to the suspect. I heard that was Mr. Sherlock Holmes. What are you being up for? Was it something I said? The color strained for his cheeks. We'll do tomorrow's trial first. That twitchy Japanese fellow goes on trial tomorrow. Are you gonna defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I'll just say this. The law and lawyer were just would touch the case with a bard's fall. Because the prosecution is being handled by 3 people at the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now, it's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bars with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Oh, you mean people like, Jack the Killer's caliber or the Sojak Killer? Master criminals? Right. Another cookie, let's go. Probably gonna make this like every 5 minutes. The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. So this is in sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink steering into, for want of a better phrase. Well. No, it's got to be more to it. Some reason is taking an interest. I bet you right now he's taking the case just so he will test us even more. To test our resolve. It's like the whole Ed Surt being trying to approve Rai was just lucky every single time in the first game. Or Francisco being calling her to just to beat Phoenix, right? Or the third game, feels Godo blames Phoenix, feels for what happened. Not spoiling that part. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are you going to have to face the Reaper again? Lord of Darkness, as he puts it. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Holmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was a result of one of Mr. Holmes' inspirational great deductions. Bit of battle. The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but it turns out that the scene of the crime. Wanders around spotting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Oh. Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rand's magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, seems to include several of the Yard's detectives in the stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. Because anyone at the Yard is a misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Holmes tale at all. Yeah, actual on-the-clock police detectives don't really like private detectives or consulting detectives. Because it means it implies they're bad at their job. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be prompted by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us as Scotland Yard as he is for all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and police have a complex relationship. Well, don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. I don't want to do Sherlock. By him, do you mean Mr. Holmes? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes, you can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Holmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. This makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just gonna ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Holmes again. Yeah, and I'm pretty much an admiral. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even, so how... It's Baker Street. How do you know that? It's mentioned in every tale of Sherlock Holmes. It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street. The most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's something to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way. The reports of Salazar getting very silent and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carrot. So we're going to have a reunion already. The great detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Ah, so sweet. Now, personal clarification. I have played the Sherlock Holmes games, the one made by Brockware. My favorite one is Crime and Punishment. Maybe because I loved how it was like, moved around, like, it worked. It had its issue, especially with like the quick time stuff, but it's like, it was fine. It really felt like, Sherlock Holmes. And my second favorite would be the Jack. No, it would be the Arsene one, technically. Not sure. Cinematic.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again.
Baker Street.
This is it. The residence of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. If I see the name being audibly mentioned, I'm gonna be uttering the actual name over it. Yep, this is just like, again, based on the second one, like, again, the Crime and Punishment. This is accurate. This is pretty much a Sherlock Holmes home. So this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Mrs. Sato? Susato-san? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. Not really. Most of the Sherlock Holmes stories, they mainly being solved on the premise of that, or the crime scene itself. They do deduction solving in, like, at home, but like not entirely. I can see. Oh my god, I can see. I'm gonna comment on that in a bit when we examine. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Miss Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. Not really. So, if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed. Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello, is it a big new case for Mrs. Holmes? Hello? Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Mrs. Sato, do you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, is it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Holmes to take on his space. The King of Where? Yeah? King... I have to pronounce this correctly, got that. I'm not gonna do this otherwise because it has to be pronounced correctly. King Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von... Oh no, I'm still doing Susato voice. King Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund... No. One more time. King Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ornstein. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there. The tea is brewed, and I have a pressy... I could make it higher pitch, but I don't know if it'll work. The cookies haven't and milk haven't really done great for my throat. The tea is brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Okay, I guess I could do that. Ah, it's you! I knew it, the Satsan recognized her too. taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well... The inventor, I suppose. But that must... No, that's too young. It's the girl who turned out at the end of Mr. McGilda's trial in the defense antechamber. I'd never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you. Had to get straight to work when you only just arrived in London. Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. It's Holmes' favorite. I put lots of cocaine in it. Yeah, Sherlock is a drug addict. Why do you think it's hyperactive? Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. I mean, it's either because like I do something related to a British accent, or I do something related to the actual what the person is like. It's like, yeah, can't do both. I'm not that capable. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you must have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're the dependent Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Holmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Holmes to you, surely? Mr. Holmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday at the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does he know so much about us? Did he deduce all those things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is he here in Mr. Holmes' suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name's Iris Wilson. Okay, that's not a bit feminine, no? I live here together with Hallie. Ah. I mean, like, you know, in a scene that has Susato, Iris, and Gina later, it's gonna happen eventually. I'm not gonna be able to stick to any accent, it's gonna blend. Iris is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Watson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is he so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotova. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it. Susie and Bruno? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. And with that, cookie time. Also, the downside to doing this is that it's like my stomach is in pain now due to the fucking cookies. Oh no. Apart the green stuff, it's like sticking to my throat. I have so many questions where I don't even know where to start. Let's be honest, Ryunosuke should recognize Aris's last name. Case 1. Yes, and so do I. Right? Save. Court record, people. Alright, where do I wanna talk about this, so yeah. That is a insignia made of bullet holes. BR, which stands for Victoria Regina. But why are there those bullet holes in the wall up there? Was Mr. Holmes trying to shoot a pastry ply or something? Mr. Holmes would never do something so reckless. No. Those are the letters BR, standing for Victoria Regina. It's Latin for Queen Victoria. So you mean he shot the Queen into the wall? In a moment of boredom, Mr. Holmes adorned the wall with a patriotic sign, that's all. As pistol practice. Right, that makes perfect sense now. It's exactly as it's described in the stories. Oh, this is delightful. I'm not sure that the real explanation is any less reckless than shooting a ply personally. It's patriotic, Mr. Naruhodo. Patriotic. And it's like, yeah, I have a lot to talk about, like, you know, because like Sherlock Holmes stuff. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot. It's first off the violin because Sherlock Holmes plays the violin. I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it? Of course it is. Mr. Holmes is renowned for his violin playing. Oh, really? Absolutely, it's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruhodo. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which is the closest Japanese string instrument I could find. What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London. Oh, yes. Well, Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while, he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house. So now it's merely an ornament in my room. That must have been an awkward conversation. Oof. If I'm right, that's one of the depictions of like Sherlock Holmes in the novels. Yeah, still stuck in my throat. Thanks. There's all sorts of these shelves. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high it can help you think the whole lot's gonna topple at any moment. I keep telling Haley not to cram so much on those shelves. Good advice. He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in he couldn't get it out. So he went and bought a new copy instead. That's not really economically viable. This is like the Great Ace Attorney's version of Holmes' some chemistry like in the area. In the novels, or like in any rock media, he always has a chemistry like, you know, lab or like, you know, section, things like, you know, for like analyzing chemicals and such. And remember, yeah, Holmes like smokes as well, so that's his pipe right there. Right? Alright, so what on earth is this huge over-the-top machine? That's the great That's a great analytic scope. It can analyze anything, really. Anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things has he analyzed with it, do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. We think he'll be using it soon. Oh, why not? Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him, I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Runo? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze? The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. We'll get back to that eventually. Right. Bonus family. I don't know. I'm wrong about this, but it's like that could be my crop and I'm Sherlock, maybe. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the most best things I've ever seen since we're in this country, in fact. Why don't they do my crop though? Then agree beside the fire, watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. Ah, so relaxing. We can't relax. Now there's so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just describing the stories. It is? Wait, what was that? Yes, exactly. Inside that present slipper, for example, are my chocolate for 11 C's. And transfixed for that large jackknife is my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Well, that was during John's time. Poor Susada-san looks crushed. Looks like that wheel metal chest has been used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you must go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? Ooh, the chest. Contains some of my most valuable things. And the smile tells you you're not gonna give us any clue about what they are. That's a map of London. I know, because that's the exact same map they had in Crimes and Punishment. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, and a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection! This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament. Ooh, those are all mementos that Harley has collected from his past cases. Really? Even the bust? Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust. The poor defenseless emperor, Mr. Holmes, destroys it. Yes, then he buys a new one. You make it sound like he has a temperament of an insane sculptor. Ah, how entrancingly bohemian of him. That's not quite how it works. Okay. Yeah, I can't really tell you much of the first episode. I don't remember what story was that from. No, yeah, the bus though. Yeah, there is one in Crimes and Punishment as well. Oh, this is Iris' area. What a beautiful English tea set. It's so neatly arranged. It's a favorite pastime of mine. A cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea made of herbs. Oh, come on! You're Japanese, you shouldn't be surprised by herbal tea. Medicinal tea, you have that in Japan, is made also of herbs. That's right. I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden so I can experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away. I'll brew a pot of the special blend I came up with earlier today. Still delighted, I only hope it's safe to drink. We are a quarter away from nearing the 2-hour mark. We should be ending already. But I mean, one thing, I have to finish like this batch of cookies. I like 2 more. And also, I do it by parts, so if it's like investigation, I have to finish investigation first. Ah, that's my blackboard when I note down ideas. Ooh, interesting. Let's see. Black Peter, what does that mean? Don't you want to hear what Iris has to say, Miss Naruto? I'll come back to that blackboard later. Books. Typewriter. What on earth is that big black lump over there? Ah! That fascinating thing is called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And really quickly too. Ooh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting. To be honest, I remember seeing your handwriting before, so I can't really judge. That's a charming little white shell, but full of charming little bottles too. Oh yes, but don't touch any of those. Those are poisons. They might explode. Oh. Explode? Are those exotic chemicals? They use them for exciting experiments. Yes, indeed. And that's what Hurley always says. Chemistry is an explosive science. Sorry. I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world. Debatable. Or perhaps he just meant it literally. Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris. Right, so that'd be it then. Let's try anything here. No. Yeah, nothing really. Right, we can burst now. It was you that we ran into yesterday, was it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You're ever so helpful. Dad, my eyes are blinding. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Nerf this! Ah, thinking back now. You left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Ginny? Yes, he's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. Well, I mean, while you're at it, you might as well pretty much like have a nemesis that's a platypus that pretty much like every time they appear to stop you, you pretty much are like, "Bury the platypus." Hello, might as well name your inventions, so ending with something innator. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny here back after that. Just gotta apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, you're a technician. Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Sherlock. Oh my god, right, I kept saying Hurley when it should be Shirley. Because I'm using Sherlock instead. Yes, Sherlock. Sherlock Holmes. We live here together. I had no idea that the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Okay, to be honest, Iris is like the child of like Sherlock and John. It's like, I mean, to be honest, we'd all be fine with that. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if it was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Holmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to just share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? Oh my god, they were roommates. I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rand's magazine. Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? Well, well, to be honest, like, like in most of the cases, it was him and like John going around and like solving stuff. I mean, this universe, in the Great Ace universe, I guess like instead of like John being drawn, because like in like the reason we had the books like lore wise originally, it's because John's the one like playing them to like remember them or like yeah. So instead of John the one being the one writing them, it would be Iris, which makes sense because John is technically a professor, so we won't have time. It's me, or is his head a little too big for Iris? I mean, not really. It's quite normal. It's a normal human head. She's just very petite. That's anime for you. They really. I forgot to read that last word. That's right. Shirley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells you all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It'll be such a shame I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land we solved. So I was just in the middle of typing out the manuscript of the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you know the secret if you like. Call this latest adventure The Speckled Band. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details of stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Holmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? The fun fact about the snake part, that is actually how the adventure of the Speckled Band went out in the actual like story. It was a snake thing. Again, like, Sherlock's Rounded Deductions are pretty much like, tend to be synopsis or like, excerpts or like, stuff from like the actual stories. So, do you mean to say, the stories about Mr. Holmes that are published in Rand's magazine, all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Watson. So Watson's getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Watson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I'm a doctor of medicine. Come on. We met John. No, at 10 years old. At 10 years old. Well, that's quite... For fuck's sake. I assume they're hiding the connection, but it's like, god damn it, we knew it from case 1! But... Dr. Watson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the story to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it's not a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. You're only recent. Cease! You're pissing me off as an asshole pan. I suppose it does, yes. No! Address it! Damn it! I hate this! Like, I'm pretty much like passive when like you're being annoyed, like I usually am in like the past cases. At this point, I'm livid. I'm livid. At least acknowledge the connection. That's not the fact that pretty much like, Sherlock pretty much like, interacts more with Mikotoba and pretty much like doesn't acknowledge John either. From what I've heard. I haven't been there yet, but yeah. Grr. Right, hang on. Let me just drink a bit more. I hurt my throat by that thing. Sorry if I'm being quiet now. I just need to calm down. I don't even care if he does have a degree in medicine. I wanted Sherlock and John, damn it. Okay, I'm calmed down now. I'm calmed down now. Like, you know what pisses me off? It's like, I've been spoiled on this already. Like, not fully, but it's like... Watson was there, but like, you know... In this, like, you know, Tyler Nick world, John Watson was there, but like, Hose's partner. Spoilers, I'm gonna address it again, but I'm addressing it now. It's Mikotoba's father. That pisses me off. So much. You didn't even need to do it. I don't care. You don't need to have the main characters related to the actual main plot. They're just like, you know, solve cases, that's it. There's no need to like change it up. it's like I love Mikato's father. I love it, but it's like there was no need to change it. It would have been fine just have like, you know, base Sherlock and John. Now you might be saying like, yeah, but this is like a nice change of pace. Like, you know, it sets on risk because like, you know, John and Sherlock's like dynamics been done so much. It's like not like, you know, in an actual emotional sense because again, copyright. Because they copyright the emotional parts. Again, it's like it doesn't, it won't, it doesn't feel like the track or feels like, you know, well, it does the track for me, but it's like it won't really make me stop playing the game altogether. But it's like it's still very, very annoying. Because like, you know, I was very like annoyed because like, you know, like in the second case, sorry, during on the SS Buria, it's like when you like you finally like you meet like, you know, Holmes, it's like, you know, you should know who Rinosuke is. They were involved in your partner's like, you know, murder trial. Like no, apparently they're not connected at all. I mean, it's here's my only answer because like, you know, in the novels themselves, it's like, you know, Watson, or like, sorry, it's like, you know, Watson's meant to be like, you know, a war vet, and appears like, you know, a doctor. There's pretty much like, you know, like his like, you know, capabilities and skills. Like how like, you know, Holmes is great when it comes like, you know, like the science of like the deduction, as well as the analytics. Watson from time to time provides you like, you know, the down to earth kind of like, you know, advice or like, you know, helpful like, you know, points. Basically based on like, you know, autopsies or like, you know, analyzing the body. So could do this well, but like, you know, a second opinion is always great. They bounce off well on each other. But it's like it being Mikotoba is fine, but usually we tend to just like, you know, view or portray Watson, particularly since it's like during the 1890s, he's pretty much like a veteran of the can't be the Boer War because that was 1900, so it would have been the Crimean War technically. So it's like he has to be. I'm annoyed because like, I mean, about this time, people had thought like, you know, John Watson was like, you know, like, oh, like, you know, Sarah's partner here, like Iris Bleed as well as like, or anything like that. It's like, you would think they would have bumped into that person when they're over all those years in Britain, and you know, like, I'm sorry, it's like people did like a comment, it's like, oh, you're sure you're like, you know, that great detective's partner. But I'm surprised Watson never appears like said or like a character like, who? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the one thing, Grain. That's a plot hole. I don't like plot holes, people. No. Anyways, we're continuing. I'm wasting time. About before. Yes, yes. What's on your mind, Runo? Do tell me. Anyways, like, you know, I kind of said Mikotoba. As long as, like, you know, for most of the cases, it was with Mikotoba and not with Iris. It doesn't make sense. I don't care. Everyone would have questioned it. The police would have questioned it. It would have never worked. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a different trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris was instructed to present her logic and reasoning is spectacular. No, we're not doing this. I don't want to play through this. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, if you've never seen this before, this is the deduction part. Usually done during investigations. We done a lot of this during case 2. But you also said that we only had just arrived in London. How did you know that? I asserted a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh. So I was reasonably confident you must have only just arrived in the country. Yeah, my camera died. We're finishing this part at least before I go on. And on top of that, you accepted a case against a particular prosecutor. Tell me you are unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper, the Bailey. Well, right into that one, didn't I? The notice read Instank on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. Ah. The Easto stands to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at the local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face. So I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home with yours yesterday, surely it solved yet another case. It also amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man, well, clear there must have been. Mr. Natsume. Now Runa has a fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, is it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be the Japanese man Hurley caught. There's only one conclusion those paths could lead me to. You both came here to ask Shirley about the case. Gas. Perfect, on-point deduction. No need to correct it like in the second case. I like you already more than Sherlock. Are you assuming that he's a stalker? Let's not say that. He's 10. He's 10. You know, it's like 20. Earlier saw he's tying his nose with a knife, you know. You silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Watson, and that was once my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? You know, I'm tempted because, like, if we got to the point where, like, you know, Mikotoba or, like, you know, phones are interacting, I'm tempted to just be petty and, like, call Mikotoba or refer to Mikotoba as Watson. Maybe because it's tradition. Iris is the goat. Again, we have a Watson here already, so, They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed to certain something on Mr. Holmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Shirley's style for that. It is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. One more and we'll cut it. My boys. So yesterday, Mr. Holmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying. Yes. Shirley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him in the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah. The great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed in a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume beyond any doubt. Oh, Seki-san said he didn't see anybody else in the street at all, but it seems there were witnesses after all. Shirley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in fear. Ugh, Mr. Holmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. No, he's a great pain in my ass. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for a trial, is it? No, it's not. It is quite on par with Ace Attorney actually. Once a crime happens, 3 days later is the trial. And then it can only go for 3 days more before it has to end. Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Shelley says that London is ripe with crime. Oh, Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. Oh dear, I understand the situation is so dire. Welcome to London, Blob. It's always been this grubby. That's why they can't afford to spend too much investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Stab and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose yes. No, they're less. You're just so lazy. Don't have much hope, Sasaki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I had so much fun. Calm down there, kiddo. Do you happen to know where Mr. Holmes is at the moment? I suggest we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Shirley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Natsume? Shirley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know what those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody. In that case... Keep Gregsy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Miss Naruhodo is back to the scene of the crime. It's somewhat dubious that they would assert any influence over the humanity are. We have head back to the team that secures net. Oh, good. So this is for like, you know, part investigation ends, so it's investigation part 1. Okay, thank God. I can save here and end. Right, that'll be it for now. We'll be continuing this again next Sunday. I had to follow my schedule. Thank you for being like, you know, being with me and like listening to peers like me try and like, you know, voice these wonderful characters. And I'll see you all again next time. This is tomorrow, but still. Take care.